Hi lovelies and welcome back to this channel. If you're new here, my name is Belinda Strana. Thank you so much for all the love and support. Don't forget to please subscribe to this channel, turn on notifications so that anytime I upload a video, you will be the first person to be notified. And to my returning subscribers, thank you so much for all the love and support. To those people that share my videos, that leave commentaries and also educate I, you guys are the real MVP. Thank you so much for all the love and support. Alright lovelies, let's dive into today's video. So lovelies, I came across this video on my For You page on TikTok and I thought to share with you guys where this brother actually is just spitting forth something that we have never even thought before. And I was just able to put up some of the stitches because people have their own different opinions. I'm just going to roll the clip as well as some of the stitches I was able to put together. Please leave me your own thoughts in the comment section of what you think of this video.
They always say, like, yeah, before we came to America, when we came to America, the slaves couldn't read or write. Well, yeah, duh, we couldn't read or write English because we spoke Hebrew. Like, there's evidence in certain churches within the South that as they had slaves in the churches, they were literally writing messages and notes to each other in Hebrew, right? So of course we couldn't read or write. We couldn't read or write English. You ever notice how like they never say what language we spoke when they brought the slaves over? They make it seem like as if like we had literally no language, you know, when they brought us over. They never put that out. They never say which language we spoke. That's because we spoke Hebrew. So I have a video and it's talking about like how YT people and their scholars and, you know, fake historians, how they always have told us that hey, well, the slaves couldn't read or write. Well, yeah, we couldn't read or write English, but they never teach or they never tell us, even though they're keen on telling us everything else, right, including who we are as Black Americans, the real children of Israel. They're very keen on that, but they've never, for some reason, they didn't want to tell us what language we spoke, right, when we were bought over on ships, right, and what language we were speaking when we were already here. For those people who want to be like, well, we were already here. I already know that. I already know that. We were scattered, right? But my father says we were brought over on ships. That also happened as well. Two things can be true at the same time. But YT people and they're keen on telling us everything else, but not which language we spoke, right? And you got their agents who come and say, well, we spoke many different African languages, right? Because they got to continue to keep the ones who are asleep, right? Even though, like, they're not going to change our mind about who we know we are as the real children of Israel because our God is telling us this. But, you know, it's their job to keep those who are asleep away from this truth and have our people still thinking we're African when we're not. Africans are not even Africans. You can't find the word African in the Bible. So Africa is named after a YT Roman guy, Scipio Africanus. That's not us. The name of some YT guy is not the name of a race, identity, and ethnicity of a people. I'm sorry. Yeah, I know you people like to say, you know, this is why they say the YT man is God. I mean, this is why they say YT Jesus is God, because really what they're telling you is that the YT man is God. That's what that's all about. You ask these Christians, well, is Jesus God? Well, of course he is. So they just all they're doing is telling you is that, you know, their YT Jesus is God, right? You know what I'm saying? Because they don't really like the Father, right? Because they know that the Father chose Black people, so they're bitter about that. They're bitter and resentful about that. But I always say, if we spoke, and I quote, many different African languages from different tribes, they wouldn't have hidden it from us because they want us thinking we are African. They hid it from us because they know it was Hebrew writing all inscribed over them ships that aren't still around today. There's Hebrew writing all over in the South in them churches when when they had the slaves in them churches, right? I think it's First Baptist Church in Georgia. You go there today, there's Hebrew writing in the pulpits and on the back of the chairs and things like that, right? Because they try to hide our identity, that we're actually the real Jews, children of Israel from the tribe of Judah, the same tribe as Jesus Christ. Right. So you got their YT agents and Gentiles coming. Oh, you guys, pretending to be black people. Oh yeah, no, you telling us again what we spoke. They tell us what race we are. I mean, they're the only people on earth who tell other people who they are. I mean, I think I'm more adept at telling you who I am, but that I enter under overstand. That's what they do. And now they're also telling people what language, what language they spoke, because that's just what they do. Right? Don't fall for the sorcerers and the magicians' tricks. We are God's actual bloodline, not through some fake Judaic religion converts. No, we are actually the bloodline descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And don't let nobody tell you differently, because they just don't want you to know you're chosen above God's people. You're chosen by the Most High God above all people. They don't want you to know that it's all about you. But think about it. Think about it, brother, man. Think about it, sister girl. Why do you think they hate you so much? You think they just hate you for skin color? Well, that's factually incorrect, because you have some people who are darker. You have some East Indians, right, who are Ishmaelites, who are darker than black people. You have some Africans, because, the good majority of Africans are, Hamites, right? And then you have you have Shemites in Africa as well. So you have Africans who are Shemites as well, but you have some Africans who are darker than black people, and than black Americans, but they don't get treated like black Americans. It's all about, they don't get treated as bad as black Americans. That's because it's all about bloodline. It has nothing to do with color per se. Even though, and what I mean by that, even though everybody in the Bible is black, except for the Edomites. You know what I mean? But, even the past Afro-Asians, they were all black. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. They just don't want you to know you're the chosen. They want you to believe that their fake-ish people are the chosen. And they're prideful. They'll tell you. They got all these shows and movies called The Chosen, right? They got all these shows called Moses with white people. So they'll tell you they're the chosen. They have no quarrel. They have no quarrels or qualms with that. They only have an issue with the word chosen when black people say we're the chosen. Meanwhile, they go around the whole world telling everybody they're the chosen with their Constantine, religion that, they don't even like Jesus, but these are the same people that still give you, right, a letter gang, effeminate Seja Borgia, Pope Alexander VI's homo letter gang, INCEST, with his own sister image. Leonardo da Vinci's letter gang lover. That's what they'll give you is their Jesus, their Messiah, their YT man, their God, the image of the beast.
Were a way for the blacks to communicate, and throughout Africa, and they tried to communicate the same way in America because they could build the drums even when they got here. And then the slave owners took even that right away from them so that they could no longer even communicate with the drums. Even though they split people up, they put people in all kinds of different settings, and they never allowed them to try to get back together and do anything to make their lives any better.
Tutnese is a language that originated in the United States during the era of slavery. Developed by African American slaves as a way to communicate secretly and freely among themselves, Tutnese played a vital role in their struggle for survival and resistance against oppressive conditions. The origins of Tutnese can be traced back to the 17th and 18th centuries. Slaves devised Tutnese as a covert means of communication, disguising their conversations from their oppressors. The language evolved by manipulating English words to create a code that was difficult for slaveholders to decipher. This involved rearranging letters, dropping vowels, and adding new sounds. Tutneys allowed slaves to share information about escape routes, warn of dangers, and coordinate acts of rebellion, all without arousing suspicions. After the abolition of slavery, Tutneys gradually faded away as African Americans gained more freedom and access to education.
Like, seriously, lovelies, I think I have also read this somewhere. You know, it was told where I read it from that when the slaves actually, landed, that they were all speaking different languages. They had different language because they were all from different continents of, Africa and all of that. So these slave masters, made them to actually learn what they call the African vernacular English. This African vernacular English is a kind of broken English that will make all the slaves to actually have one language, because for them to be able to work and communicate and all of that, they need a language that's that will grant them this access to actually communicate with each other, because all of them came from different different places in Africa. And as we all know, we were told that they brought them from every classes of African continent and all of that. And instead of them to actually teach them the normal English language, they were taught the vernacular, the African vernacular English. I thought I said it, I read it somewhere. Now, when I saw this brother talking about how the Hebrew language was what the slaves were speaking before they were forced to learn this language, they were speaking Hebrew language, which I think he has a point, because it has never been mentioned to us about the kind of language these slaves were speaking. We were only told that they were not able to read and write. They were not able to read and write English. This is all what we know. Okay, if they were not able to read and write English, what was the language that they were all, speaking? Even if they say that they were all speaking different kind of languages and all of that, blah, 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 because they came from different continents and all of that. But what was the language if it's not English language? Because English language was taught. They were taught English language, which is even African vernacular English language, which that is what they were taught. So what is now the language that they were all speaking, which is of different, before they were not taught this language that made all of them to understand each other? What is the said language? This is where the Hebrew language comes in, which I believe this brother is actually making a lot of sense, because we have not actually thought about that. I have not actually thought about that, because if they say that they were not able to read and write, let's understand that it's English that they are talking about. They are not able to read and write English. So what is the name of the language that they were speaking? What is the name? Nobody have told us about this. And if you know, you can actually leave it in the comment section. And another thing is that I have not seen somewhere in the Bible that Africa is mentioned. Yeah, but I think that Ashkenazi was mentioned in the Bible somewhere. But the word Africa, I have not actually seen it mentioned in the Bible. So there are so many hidden truths which we are just yet to find out, which with the recent research and with the recent findings that have been going on for a very long time, like this year, there are a lot of findings, like we're finding about that our Yeshua is actually a darkest person, which was described in the Bible with the hair of wool. People were not, believing that until Putin decided to open its vote. And all the truths were just all over there, and people began to make more research, and a lot of people find out that the Bible that we know today are like, there are so many things that was stripped out from the Bible. People begin to discover so many things. Even I discovered again that the Bible that was given to our ancestors was even different from, like, there are different kinds of Bibles as well. So there are so many hidden truths which, when we keep on digging, the ones you are not even trying to look for keep on surfacing itself. This historical thing is something that is just gonna take a very long time to put together. Like, it will just keep on coming, and you just keep on, to understand it step by step. So I have never actually thought about this, the language that the enslaved people were speaking before they were all enslaved, before they were taught the language that they understand and were able to communicate with one another. So I have never actually thought of that. And when people say that it's Hebrew, I think that he's making a lot, because it is actually written in the Bible. Hebrew. That Hebrew is a book in the Bible. So there should be a language. The book of Hebrews. So what are the Hebrews? Like, the language. And even in the Bible, there's no English there. So all of these things is just something that, when you just keep thinking about it, at some point you get confused. Some point you get to like, wow. And this other video that I staged that talks about Tetnis, which happens to be the language that was invented by these slaves to be able to communicate with each other, secretly, so that their masters will not be able to hear whatsoever they want to communicate about, is something I find, so interesting to know and also come across. And the fact that these slaves also use drums as the means of communication, or as the means to communicate with each other, is another thing that anytime I think about it, I cannot just begin to imagine what our ancestors actually passed through in the hands of this oppressor. Just imagine using a drum to communicate to communicate with your sister or your brother. Imagine using some kind of language to communicate in order not to be caught. Like, they really went through a lot. They really do went through a lot. Anyway, lovelies, why not just leave me your own thoughts in the comment section of what you think of this video. And do not forget that we do not support any form of bullying, harassment, or whatever. We're just here for educational and informative purposes. So please share this video, subscribe to this channel if you're yet to do that, and I will see you lovelies when I upload the next one. If you have watched up to this extent, thank you so much for all the love and support. Don't forget to please leave me your own thoughts in the comment section of what you think of this video. Do not forget that this channel, we do not support any form of bullying, harassment, or whatsoever. We're just here for educational purposes. So please share this video, subscribe, and leave your thoughts, and I will see you lovelies when I upload the next one.